When you see how your team played against these guys not too long ago, against Washington the other night, reassuring that it's in there, or frustrating that it hasn't been there consistently throughout?
Oh, it's in there. We don't question that. Some of the frustration, and more, in not that I think we've been more consistent with our play than our record shows. It's been frustrating we don't get the results at certain times. The things that we have to be more consistent at are big breakdowns. We've had goals scored on us in the last minute. We've had big plays made, big plays not made to get that final result. So that's the frustrating part. And we're under 500, and I'm not sitting here protecting the team. I think we've played better than the record that we have here. But we have not found enough consistency to get that record, to get the wins. And a lot of that is due to a league full of mistakes and lack of scoring in a league game of mistakes. We just can't cover up those mistakes with the lack of scoring that we've had.
With I'm not even going to use his name, but the player that left was such a lead guy offensively. Has it been a challenge for other players to sort of assume not that position necessarily, but to hold the mantle of being the guy that has to produce?
Well, see, I don't look at it that way. I just think it's been surprising to all of us and the people involved in the lack of consistency in the scorers that we thought would score. Because these guys scored before we had changes in our team. Cam has scored before. Josh has been growing as a player right on through here and has a great year last year. Who would think he shooting at 1% here, whatever it is, sitting on one goal? And this is a guy, I think, for the past half a dozen games has played very well, and with a ton of scoring chances hasn't scored. So I don't look at it as departures leaving our team and that puts other guys in struggles, because I think these guys have been able to score in this league and have grown as players, like in Josh's position, to be goal scorers. It's just been one of those things that our shooting percentage is awful. We have developed a lot of scoring chances. We just have not finished. And that in a league, I say, that has gotten young, and it's a lot of mistakes made. The game has changed so much. You need to be able to score to cover up some of those things, and that's been a big problem of ours this year.
Sorry, what made that general line so effective in Washington, and how badly do you need them to play a similar type game tonight against this team?
Yeah, it was a good time to put them together, I thought, to play against their top line. We were pretty successful in getting them out a lot against that line. A lot of that was in consideration of, I think Wilson plays a big role with that team, and not the big stats, but I think he's a little bit of the engine with his physical play, and I just wanted a line to play against them and counter that. I thought they did a terrific job. It seemed to, when we changed the lines, to put a little bit more balance into our lines. Liked the way they looked. I thought Cam played better also. But that general line I can use in a lot of different situations, and we'll start with it here tonight, and we'll see where we go with it.
Do you need a similar type effort out of them? Is this a similar type style you're going to see, therefore needing that general line to play the same way?
Well, they you know what their style is. They have to play straight ahead and try to create forechecking, and I thought Andy and Nick especially neutralize certain situations in that game with their physical play and just being in the air to let them know that they're there. I thought they were very important against Washington. They'll have to do the same thing here. I mean, we don't go to our lines and give them and tell them play different ways from game to game. We're trying to find our game, trying to be more consistent with it. I like the way the lines looked the other night. We're going to start with them that way.
You mentioned Sonny Milano. That's a player that has been maligned here for a few years. When is this going to happen? When is this going to happen? Is it happening now?
It's happening
now. I
now.
don't think we've talked a lot about him over the last 6 weeks, but he's starting to play pretty well.
One of our best and consistent offensive players we've had basically all year long here, since he's been thrusted into the lineup. Learning the other side, but he is making plays that I don't think a lot of guys can make on our team. Yeah, so I hope, like I always frame it with Sonny, let's get rid of this kind of in quotations, oh, that's Sonny.
Yeah.
That type of line talking about him.
Right.
I think he's maturing, and I want to get rid of that connotation of, oh, that's just Sonny.
Yeah.
That makes me mad because I don't think that's fair to him right now because I think he's growing. He's been a really big part of our offense.
He's made some plays that, frankly, other guys haven't been ready for.
Well, they're not.
Yeah.
They on his backhand,
Oh.
he has made so many plays there that people don't see,
Yeah.
and and shame on the guys that are receiving that pass because they need to be ready for
Yeah.
him. And and the thing I like about it, he is really concentrating on the part. He has a meeting every day after every game with Brad Larson, goes over all his shifts. Lars has kind of been shifted from the power play with so many young guys, and this is where it's kind of helped me, is he has individual meetings with the Benstroms, he had Texier and Sonny. Sonny's not young, he's been around, but he needs help in that area. So Lars has really sunk his teeth into each individual and trying to explain the other part of the game away from the
I
puck.
can't remember the opponent, but it was a game in Nationwide, and Sonny made the pass out of the corner, spinning off his backhand. It sent up, maybe it was Bemstrom.
It was
set up?
Bemstrom, yes.
Yeah, I don't know any other
No.
guy on this team maybe that
No,
sets that.
no, it is. It's really encouraging, and I'm really happy for him because he scored 14 goals in this league a couple of years ago, and then he's put down the minors, gets hurt a lot last year, and it's never came around. But I hope he takes pride in trying to get rid of some of the things that have been said about him. I mean, he makes his own bed in some of this stuff here, but I think he's really learning how to handle himself too. It's a really important time for him now, is when he's having a little bit of success to ask himself for more, not to settle in and start getting sloppy. If he gets sloppy, that's when he puts himself in a bad way.
He seems to shrug things off also, John. Like things don't seem to bother him, maybe to a point that it might bother you as a coach that he's that way, but he's got a little swagger.
No, I think it's important to have swagger. I think it's important to let things go. I just want him to understand what I'm talking about away from the puck. He makes a play. I'm turning away quite a bit because I think it's the way you have to coach Sonny. I think you need to turn away. I couldn't turn away from one in Washington the other night where he's on the ice for over a minute. All he has to do is chip it into the corner and get off the ice and change. He tries to go on his backhand and throws a cross-ice pass. And I did. When he came to the bench, I asked him, I said, what possessed you to make that play? And certain times I have to go to him that way and just remind him that he has to keep concentrating on that part of the game. And he came up with an answer. I said, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I said, just don't do it again. And so those are the situations occasionally I have to go to him. Other ones, he knows, he's smart enough to know he's made some mistakes. I'm not going to hound him on every mistake. I don't think that's going to help him progress here as we try to teach him away from the puck.
John, you mentioned getting more guys in the blue, trying to manufacture goals. Have you seen improvement in that area? And I'd imagine maybe that's a way to improve that shooting percentage.
Yeah, we're trying. Sometimes we try so hard, we end up with a few guys down there. It's a shot wide, and it ends up being an odd man rush. We got, especially against this team here. Washington the same way. Washington creates a lot of offense out of just shots wide, and they get turned up the ice going. Same thing with Pittsburgh here. So we got to be smart about it. You still have to have depth within your rush, within the offensive zone play. We're trying to find any way possible to help us score more goals.
Goalie tonight?
Corpy goes tonight.
Who goes in for Bemstrom?
Well, it was the same. It was the same lineup.
Right.
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking last game.
same lineup.